The 1950s was a time of stability and prosperity for many middle-class families in America. After the hardships of the Great Depression and World War II, people were ready to enjoy the comforts of life, and that included food. While wealthier families dined on extravagant meals, middle-class households had their own staples, simple, affordable, yet delicious dishes that defined the era. From hearty casseroles to iconic TV dinners, these foods became the backbone of family meals. Let's take a nostalgic trip back and explore 25 foods only middle-class families could afford in the 1950s. Meatloaf with ketchup glaze. Meatloaf was a beloved comfort food that, over time, began to feel a bit too predictable. To counter the monotony of an otherwise standard dish, many home cooks turned to a simple solution: a generous coating of ketchup. This straightforward glaze served as an instant upgrade, much like combining the most accessible pantry staples to create a dish that was both economical and satisfying. In an age when elaborately spiced sauces were often out of reach, the ketchup-covered meatloaf offered a practical, no-fuss way to transform a familiar recipe into a meal that still delivered comfort and a touch of nostalgia. Gelatin salads with fruit and whipped cream. Gelatin salads evolved from a fleeting fad into a cultural phenomenon by the mid-century. These vibrant, molded creations, often crowned with fresh fruit and a dollop of whipped cream, captured the imagination of home chefs everywhere. Cookbooks and spirited advertisements showcased elaborate Jell-O designs that transformed simple ingredients into a form of interactive art. Major brands such as Dole, Campbell, and Kraft not only promoted these recipes, but also sparked nationwide trends. The availability of modern refrigeration further propelled gelatin salads into the spotlight, ensuring that even the busiest households could prepare a dish that was as much a conversation piece as it was a side dish at family gatherings. Potato salad with mayonnaise. No mid-century gathering was complete without a generous helping of potato salad dressed in creamy mayonnaise. This classic side dish was the backbone of many picnics and potlucks, its recipe passed down and fiercely defended by home cooks. Debates raged over the superior brand, whether it was Hellmann's or the newer Miracle Whip, and every ingredient was scrutinized. Beyond the potatoes, the salad was enriched with crisp pickle relishes, diced dill pickles, hard-boiled eggs, and a hint of yellow mustard. Served chilled right from the refrigerator, it was a no-hassle option that allowed hosts to prepare one standout dish ahead of a busy day of entertaining. Said veal parmesan. Veal parmesan, often affectionately referred to by its Americanized moniker ve parmesan, captured the imagination of diners in the burgeoning Italian-American restaurant scene. Although its name might suggest a dish reserved for finer dining, its popularity quickly spread to family tables across the nation. Many households attempted to recreate the dish at home, frequently substituting the fresh ingredients of traditional Italian recipes with more economical canned tomato sauces from well-known brands. While purists might argue that true veal parmigiana demands fresh tomatoes and fragrant herbs, the mid-century adaptation provided a deliciously accessible option that balanced authenticity with practicality, a true culinary compromise for busy families. Canned ham. Canned ham stood as a time-honored staple in countless households. It was the kind of product that made its appearances in cartoons and movies and often found a second life in the back of a friend's fridge. More than a delicacy, it became the fallback meal. Sometimes prepared in a pinch when emotions ran high or when traditional meatloaf just wouldn't do. Whether it found its way into a sandwich, spiced up a salad, served as a topping on pizza, or even took an unconventional role on a hot dog, The appeal of canned ham wasn't in gourmet sophistication. Rather, it was about the reliable comfort of a product that, while far from luxurious, assured families that their pantry was well stocked. It was a symbol of the middle-class approach to convenience, contrasting with both the refined tastes of the wealthy and the home-hunted meats of the working class. Swiss steak. Despite what the name might imply, Swiss steak has little to do with Switzerland or its famed cheese. Instead, the term Swiss refers to the labor-intensive technique used by cooks to transform tough cuts of beef. These cuts were pounded until tender and slowly braised in savory sauces until they could be served with pride, even at a modest price of around $1.75. This method turned inexpensive meat into a succulent meal that quickly became a kitchen staple. For many families, Swiss steak was a clever solution to the challenges of tougher beef, a testament to mid-century culinary ingenuity where resourcefulness met flavor. Pot roast with red wine. During an era when American wine culture was still in its infancy, the pairing of a hearty pot roast with a well-chosen red wine emerged as a shared national experience. Middle-class families, eager to step away from the usual cheap alternatives, embraced this elevated meal as a special treat. Whether made with pork, beef, or chicken, the pot roast was often served with a carefully selected California red blend, ranging from dry burgundies to bold Zinfandels, or even innovative cherry-inflected options. The simple act of dressing up a familiar roast with a glass of wine became a celebrated way to add a touch of elegance to home dining, reminding everyone that even everyday meals could be imbued with a sense of occasion. Ham and scalloped potatoes. Finally, the pairing of Saturday ham with scalloped potatoes epitomized the art of turning leftovers into a sumptuous meal. This dish not only provided a creative outlet for utilizing every bit of ham from the refrigerator, but also became a hallmark of comforting Sunday dinners and community potlucks, especially in church gatherings. The widespread availability of mass-produced canned foods, such as cream of mushroom soup, alongside the adoption of electric ovens, transformed the way layered dishes were prepared. Assembling ham with thinly sliced potatoes no longer required laborious effort. It evolved into an effortless, layered delight that was both practical and deeply satisfying, marking a significant shift in home-cooked traditions. Wedge salad with blue cheese dressing. Yeah, imagine being the star of a potluck simply by showing up with a refreshing wedge salad. In the 1950s, many steakhouses across America, those institutions our nation became famous for, proudly served this salad as a must-have starter. Crisp iceberg lettuce reigned supreme, bolstered by the era's improved refrigeration that kept produce fresh longer. Home cooks often recreated the experience by whipping up their own version of the dressing, a rich blend of mayonnaise, buttermilk, and crumbled blue cheese with the occasional boost from bacon and tomatoes. While these recipes mimicked the sophisticated versions found in upscale supper clubs, they still managed to elevate everyday dishes like meatloaf with a burst of tangy flavor. That bold blue cheese dressing left a memorable impression, even if its raucous reputation eventually softened with time. Chicken cordon bleu. Chicken cordon bleu burst onto the scene as a novel dish, particularly popular in upscale restaurants and among gourmet enthusiasts. Even though it hadn't yet become a staple in every household, its reputation for being a sophisticated yet approachable meal grew rapidly. The dish, featuring tender breaded chicken enveloping a savory mix of ham and cheese, evoked images of high-end French dining, complete with elegant ambience and fine wine. Its appeal was further enhanced by its adaptability. Families quickly discovered that they could replicate the recipe at home by substituting costly ingredients with readily available items like pre-sliced Swiss cheese and canned ham, all while delighting both adults and children alike. Soon, its rich yet balanced flavors made it a symbol of culinary ingenuity, merging upscale dining with home-cooked simplicity. The dish's creamy interior contrasted beautifully with its crisp golden exterior, inviting diners to experience a unique blend of textures in every bite. Over time, chicken cordon bleu evolved from a restaurant specialty into a beloved family recipe, inspiring countless variations that maintained its original charm. Today, its enduring legacy continues to bridge the gap between gourmet aspirations and accessible everyday cooking. Roast chicken with gravy. At the heart of every cherished Sunday dinner was the simple yet triumphant roast chicken with gravy. Waking up on a quiet Sunday meant anticipating that irresistible aroma wafting from the kitchen, a signal that a special meal was in the making. Traditionally reserved for the weekend, this dish became a time-honored family ritual, with mothers safeguarding their secret recipe until the perfect day arrived. The dish's allure lay in its balance, a nutritionally sound, easy-to-eat plate that didn't break the bank. Even as beef roasts and grilled meats gained popularity, nothing quite matched the comforting, homely quality of a well-prepared roast chicken accompanied by a savory, rich gravy. Every tender slice carried memories of laughter-filled evenings and shared stories around a bustling table. The rich, herb-infused gravy elevated each bite, turning an ordinary dinner into a moment of pure nostalgia. This roast chicken wasn't just a meal, it was a symbol of tradition, a culinary embrace that united generations with every delectable serving. Rye porridge. While many American households started the day with oatmeal, in regions with strong Scandinavian roots, such as Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota, rye porridge held a special place. Made from rye flour blended with foraged berries or a touch of molasses, this dish was celebrated for its high fiber content and nutritional benefits. Ahead of its time in both health and affordability, rye porridge became a cultural staple among communities where rye was plentiful. It offered a robust, wholesome alternative to more common breakfasts, and its enduring popularity spoke to both its simplicity and its ability to sustain busy families without sacrificing flavor. Beyond its nutritional merits, rye porridge also served as a daily ritual that connected families to their ancestral traditions. Many households cherished the communal act of stirring the porridge as stories and recipes were passed down through generations. This humble dish not only nourished the body but also strengthened community bonds, symbolizing resilience and shared heritage, like chicken croquettes. In the bustle of a mid-century dinner, the savory aroma of chicken croquettes frying in the pan was a welcome sign of comfort and resourcefulness. These golden brown morsels were far more than a simple snack. They embodied smart homemaking. Drawing on European, particularly French, culinary traditions, the dish took leftover roast chicken and transformed it into a crispy delight. The chicken was finely chopped and blended with a thick, creamy gravy to create a smooth base, then mixed with breadcrumbs, a beaten egg, and a dash of seasonings like salt, pepper, and paprika. Shaped into small ovals or spheres and recoated with breadcrumbs, they were either deep-fried or pan-fried to achieve a satisfying crunch. Affordable and delicious chicken croquettes quickly became a kitchen essential, proving that a little creativity could elevate even the humblest ingredients. Broiled fish with lemon butter. For those seeking a lighter yet satisfying option, broiled fish with lemon butter was a standout dish in the 1950s. Lean white fish such as cod, flounder, or haddock were the preferred choices for their mild flavor and tender texture. The fish was carefully broiled until it achieved a delicate doneness, and then drizzled with a vibrant lemon butter sauce that infused the dish with a refreshing tang. A squeeze of fresh lemon juice and a garnish of lemon wedges were essential, serving both as a burst of flavor and as a nod to the era's commitment to freshness. This dish not only provided a healthier alternative to the era's typical fried fare, but also underscored the growing awareness that nutritious meals could be both simple and delightful. Additionally, the broiling method preserved the natural moisture of the fish, resulting in a tender interior complemented by a subtly crisp exterior. Chefs often enhance the dish with a light drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, further enriching its natural flavors without overwhelming the citrusy notes. Often paired with a seasonal salad or side of steamed vegetables, the dish balanced freshness with satisfying nourishment. Ultimately, broiled fish with lemon butter became a symbol of the era's culinary shift toward wholesome, health-conscious meals that never compromised on taste. Baked pork chops with stuffing. During an era when casseroles ruled the culinary scene, baked pork chops with stuffing emerged as a creative and budget-friendly favorite. These dishes were typically made by coating pork chops in seasoned flour or crushed cracker crumbs, often Ritz, then baking them with a rich sauce prepared from everyday ingredients like canned cream of mushroom or celery soup. What might have seemed an odd pairing at first soon won over skeptics, especially when fruits were added to the mix. With influential cookbooks from the likes of Betty Crocker and Better Homes and Gardens highlighting such recipes, the old adage that apples go with pork was repeatedly proven true. The result was a hearty, affordable dish that perfectly balanced sweet and savory notes. Turkey and stuffing. Though turkey stuffing is now almost exclusively linked to Thanksgiving, in the 1950s it was a versatile side dish enjoyed with a variety of proteins. Home cooks weren't content to reserve stuffing for just one holiday. Instead, they paired it with pork chops, chicken, and even fish. Made in the traditional way with stale bread or cornbread, mixed with crackers, onions, celery, and a generous knob of butter in a savory broth, homemade stuffing was a labor of love. Before the rise of ready-made mixes in the early 1970s, this old-fashioned method was the norm, proving that when it came to creating comforting, nutritious meals on a budget, there was simply no substitute for a well-crafted stuffing. Meatball subs. Long before the modern sandwich era exploded with elaborate toppings, meatball subs carved out their own niche within Italian-American communities. In cities like Philadelphia and Boston, local bakeries and delis began crafting these humble yet hearty subs using homemade meatballs made from a blend of pork, veal, and beef. Seasoned generously with parmesan and parsley and slow-cooked in a rich tomato sauce, the meatballs were nestled inside crusty Italian bread or French baguette. Though these early versions were modest compared to today's multi-layered creations, they laid the groundwork for a sandwich that eventually grew into a beloved national staple, cherished for its robust and satisfying flavors. Over time, regional variations emerged as local chefs experimented with different herbs and spices, subtly altering the classic recipe to suit diverse palates. The slow simmering of the meatballs in the rich tomato sauce not only deepened their flavor, but also allowed the bread to absorb a delectable blend of juices, creating a perfect harmony of textures. This evolution of the meatball sub symbolized the innovative spirit of Italian-American cuisine, blending tradition with inventive twists that reflected the melting pot of American culture. Today, while modern iterations boast a variety of gourmet toppings, the original meatball sub remains a timeless reminder of culinary ingenuity and home-cooked comfort. Homemade pudding with real milk and sugar. One of the most luxurious desserts of the era, homemade pudding in the 1950s was a true treat crafted entirely from scratch. Instead of relying on today's instant mixes, families would gather milk, sugar, cornstarch, and plenty of egg yolks to create a pudding that was slowly thickened over medium heat on the stove. This labor-intensive method resulted in a dessert that was decadently smooth and richly flavored. Whether it was a velvety chocolate infused with quality cocoa like Hershey's or Baker's chocolate, a classic vanilla made using trusted spice brands such as Watkins or McCormick, a buttery butterscotch, or banana pudding given a local twist, each version was a celebration of tradition. Presentation also mattered. Many households preferred serving it in elegant glass dishes, adding a touch of sophistication to a dish that was as much about memory as it was about flavor. Meatloaf with mashed potatoes and gravy. A true emblem of budget-friendly comfort food, meatloaf with mashed potatoes and gravy was the go-to dish for many American families. This recipe ingeniously extended a pound of ground beef by combining it with oats, crackers, and breadcrumbs, then enhancing the flavor with pre-packaged seasoning mixes, often based on onion soup recipes. The resulting meatloaf was not only economical but versatile. Leftovers could be transformed into sandwiches or repurposed into a new meal the following day. Complemented by a generous side of mashed potatoes smothered in a rich homemade gravy, this dish became a dinner table classic, celebrated for its simplicity and satisfying heartiness, especially in the age of television dinner culture. Baked slowly to perfection, every ingredient melded together to form a moist and flavorful masterpiece that warmed the heart as much as it satisfied the hunger. Family gatherings were defined by generous servings of this dish, where stories were shared and traditions passed down with every hearty bite. The creamy mashed potatoes acted as the ideal canvas, absorbing the savory gravy and balancing the robust flavor of the meatloaf. Over time, this humble meal evolved into a cherished symbol of resourcefulness and familial love, evoking fond memories of simpler times and the comfort of home. Cranberry salad. No holiday spread was complete without a vibrant cranberry salad, a dish that evolved into an indispensable side during festive gatherings. In the 1950s, cranberry salad was more than a garnish. It was a culinary staple that perfectly complemented roast turkey, baked ham, and other holiday classics. Many recipes called for generous amounts of flavored gelatin, often raspberry or cherry, mixed with fresh cranberries and sometimes even pineapple, resulting in a textured relish with just the right balance of tart and sweet. With many homemakers relying on hand-cranked grinders to finely chop the fruit, the resulting salad could be molded or served as a loose, refreshing side. Its versatility and native appeal made it a long-lasting tradition, celebrated year after year. Beyond adorning the holiday table, cranberry salad captured the innovative spirit of 1950s home cooking, turning modest ingredients into festive artistry. Each spoonful evoked memories of joyful family gatherings and the warmth of shared traditions, making the dish both nostalgic and delightful. Its vivid blend of tangy cranberries and sweet gelatin not only brightened the plate, but also symbolized the creativity that defined an era of resourceful cooking. Over time, this beloved salad evolved with subtle regional twists while maintaining its role as a cherished centerpiece at celebrations. Fried pork chops with gravy. Beloved in both southern and midwestern kitchens, fried pork chops with gravy offered a hearty and comforting meal that was both economical and full of flavor. The pork chops were seasoned with a blend of paprika, garlic salt, black pepper, and sometimes a touch of Worcestershire or dry mustard, then fried in either bacon grease, lard, or simply pan-fried. After cooking, the flavorful browned bits left in the pan were transformed into a rich gravy by deglazing with milk and thickening with a bit of flour or evaporated milk. This luscious sauce, enhanced by a sprinkle of black pepper, perfectly complemented the crispy cornmeal-coated pork chops. Served with classic sides like biscuits, the dish epitomized down-home cooking and sparked lively dinner conversations over the best way to achieve that perfect crunch. The dish's robust flavors and satisfying textures made it a staple at family gatherings where every bite reminded diners of cherished home-cooked meals. The savory gravy, with its velvety consistency, not only enriched the pork chops, but also served as a perfect drizzle over sides like mashed potatoes or fresh greens. Each element of the recipe, from the precise seasoning blend to the careful frying process, reflected a tradition of culinary craftsmanship passed down through generations. This iconic meal was more than just dinner. It was a celebration of resourcefulness and regional pride that left lasting memories with every delicious, crunchy bite. Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese enjoyed a parallel rise in popularity in many American delicatessens, especially in cities enriched by Swiss immigrant traditions like Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Deli counters overflowed with sandwiches featuring this uniquely textured cheese. The emergence of pre-sliced varieties in supermarkets helped cement its status as a household favorite. Manufacturers and advertisers worked hard to rebrand Swiss cheese as not only a flavorful ingredient, but also as a product with a distinctive personality. Its natural holes, produced by carbon dioxide during fermentation, were celebrated as a mark of quality. At the same time, the growing trend of fondue further embedded Swiss cheese in the culinary culture of the time. Homemade cobbler, a dessert that graced tables all year long. Homemade cobbler was the epitome of comfort and indulgence in the 1950s. When fruits were in season, fresh peaches, cherries, or blackberries were the stars of the show. In the off-season, canned fruit was a popular substitute. Suburban moms in particular were known for their peach cobblers, though cherry and blackberry versions were also widely adored. The charm of a cobbler lay in its dual nature, a bubbling, fruit-filled base topped with a crisp, golden crust, often served with a generous scoop of vanilla ice cream or a dollop of whipped cream to add an extra layer of decadence. Some families even embraced the tradition of preparing cobblers outdoors in Dutch ovens, a practice that turned making dessert into a cherished communal memory. Hash brown casserole. Moving away from the fast food hash browns of later decades, the 1950s saw the rise of a heartier, homemade hash brown casserole. Rather than using frozen or leftover batter, home cooks grated fresh or chilled potatoes, mixing them with generous helpings of cheese, cream, and butter. A base of canned soup, often a creamy variant from brands like Campbell's, was stirred in to bind the ingredients and add an extra layer of richness. This casserole was a fixture in many Midwest and Southern kitchens, a dish that showcased both frugality and flavor. Its preparation was as much an art as it was a practical way to use up ingredients, and it quickly became a beloved staple at potlucks and family gatherings alike. The casserole's versatility allowed for creative tweaks, such as incorporating a medley of herbs or a dash of hot sauce to elevate its flavor profile. Its comforting, creamy texture combined with a subtly crisp topping made it a go-to dish during both festive and everyday meals. Home cooks relished the opportunity to transform simple pantry staples into a dish that felt both indulgent and down-to-earth. Generations passed down their unique versions of this recipe, ensuring that every serving was a warm reminder of family traditions and regional pride. Pork roast with apples was the quintessential fall and winter meal, a hearty dish that combined savory and sweet in perfect harmony. This rustic recipe featured a succulent pork roast paired with tender sliced apples that added a subtle tang and natural sweetness. Seasoned simply with herbs and spices, the dish was often accompanied by classic sides such as mashed or scalloped potatoes and green beans, creating a full, satisfying meal that could feed a family for days. Economical yet elegant, pork roast with apples was a fixture at both Thanksgiving tables and everyday dinners, capturing the spirit of a time when good food was made with simple ingredients, thoughtful preparation, and a nod to tradition. The slow roasting process allowed the flavors to meld beautifully as the pork absorbed the delicate essence of the apples, producing a tender and juicy interior. As the meat cooked, the apples caramelized to a golden hue, releasing natural sugars that enhanced the savory notes of the dish. This harmonious blend of textures and tastes made each bite a celebration of seasonal abundance and home-cooked care. Generations of families passed down their unique variations of this recipe, each adding a personal twist that kept the tradition vibrant and ever-evolving. That wraps up my video on food that only middle-class people could afford. Let us know which dish was your favorite in the list, and don't forget to like and subscribe.